Hello, PI listeners. My name is Jay Helms, and you're listening to the Passive Investor Show. Are you a busy professional looking to diversify your portfolio? Ever wanted to passively invest in real estate but don't know where to start? John Fortes provides you with a guide to passively invest in real estate. This is the Passive Investor Show.
And now, the Passive Investor Show. Here's your host, John Fortes.
Hello, PI listeners. Thank you for lending me your time today. Welcome to the Passive Investor Show. I'm John Fortes, your passive investor consultant. Our goal is to provide you, the busy professional, with passive investing tips and tricks for your real estate investments to leverage more time for you to focus on your true passions. Let's get to work. Today, my guest is Jay Helms. Jay Helms has served the information technology industry since 2001, with most recent transition and focus on growing a direct sales unit and a portfolio of $2.5 million in MRR for a global cybersecurity firm. Jay has earned several educational accolades, a bachelor's in computer science, Jacksonville State University, 2001, master's business administration, New York Institute of Technology, 2005, and certified project management professional, Management Institute, 2008, to produce a record of seamlessly driving complex projects to completion while balancing tight resource and time constraints. A savvy relationship builder with a proven track record of forging partnerships and driving account performance to the next level. Jay started actively investing in real estate in 2014 with a mix of single and multifamily homes, and since has grown his real estate portfolio to over 320 units across 4 states. Recently, he has started giving back to the real estate community by hosting the movement at www.w2capitalist.com, where the mantra earn, invest, repeat is helping every W2 employee realize they can build legacy wealth through real estate investing and a successful and fulfilling W2 job. Jay and his wife, Cassie, right? Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
Have 1 son and 2 daughters. I apologize for that.
I gotta go. I gotta go
go
back and say my beautiful, amazing, and extremely supportive wife. That's what I need to put in there, right?
Hey, man. I automatically default that. I should add that.
Well, no. When I asked you earlier about your kids, you're like, "I've got 2 beautiful kids," and I was sitting there thinking, every time somebody asked me, I said, "I just got 3 little rugrats." But that's not the truth. I mean, they're amazing little tiny humans, you know, and I don't know. I've got to change my lingo on that. I got to sound more positive like you. So I'm learning from you this morning, man.
I appreciate that, man. It's just, I always try to fulfill or project that no matter what, even though,
Yes.
No matter what type of situation it is too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it could be rugrats at sometimes, but it's still beautiful to me.
They're still beautiful. I like it. I'm going to take that away from today for sure.
So real quick, hello, Jay. I'm grateful for having you on the show. Thank you.
Appreciate being here.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
It is early on Labor Day weekend, so you and I are grinding it out here, right?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I love it.
So tell me about your background, how you got into it. It sounds like you started in the IT space, in the tech space. So
yeah, so growing up, I really didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I'm almost there. I've almost figured it out. I just turned 40. I've got 3 beautiful kids, and an amazing wife, right? And I've almost figured it out. But growing up, computers just made sense to me. So I just kind of latched onto that. Quickly figured out that in college that, man, there are a lot of propeller heads and guys who are just way nerdier than I am when it comes to that. I can speak enough of that language to be dangerous. But really, what's really kind of here recently discovered about myself, I don't know about you, but it seems like every year I discover more and more about myself or get a clearer definition of who I am. And, I'm not a real techie person, even though I have a bachelor's in computer science. It's kind of weird. And I'm not a really good salesperson, but I'm a really good sales coach, and I tell the guys and gals who work for me, I was like, look, because I just started this job 3 months ago that I'm working now. And I came in and they're like, tell us about your sales background. I was like, look, guys, if you're looking to trust me based on my sales record alone, that's not it, right? Tom Brady, and I'm referring to you guys as Tom Brady. Tom Brady has a quarterback coach, right? That quarterback coach does not hit the field on Sundays because he can't do all the other stuff that Tom Brady can do. But he can tell Tom Brady these little bitty tweaks that he can do to make his balls that much more accurate, go that much further. That's what I'm here to do, right? Don't expect me to get on the phone and sell somebody, but I'm here to coach you along the way because y'all are much better sales people than I am. So to kind of sum that up, I figured out I'm a pretty good coach, right, when it comes to helping individuals out, especially those that are, maybe 5 to 10 years away from where I am in life. Just having those most recent experience, and that's what the team that I'm managing now, most of them are like that, right? So does that answer? Is that kind of what you were looking for?
No, I completely understand because to preference it all in a few short sentences is not everybody can be players, and
yes,
some people can just be coaches or teachers.
Yeah.
So I completely agree. So yeah, I have a tech background as well, and I completely understand how you kind of flip the switch on, working on investing and moving in that direction. Can you dive into more of that?
Yeah. So I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit about me. I've always had, in college, we'll go back to then, I had a grass cutting business that I did on the side, right? I actually employed my brother for a summer. I think that was all it could last with me or whatnot. But I've always had this thing where I wanted to have my own business. I've developed apps before. But they keep saying that your success is going to be at the top of all your failures, right? So I kept failing and kept failing and kept failing. And my wife and I really liked the idea of flipping houses. We got turned on by the HGTV, the sexy flipping houses and stuff like that. And, we bought our first house in 2006. I know you said in my intro, it says actively investing in 2014. I like to call my false start in investing is when I bought my first house in 2006. And, from there, we've learned a lot. But it's just one of those things where we really focused on buy and hold starting in 2014 that we really started seeing our net worth exponentially grow, and being a W-2 man and being in the corporate world, I always thought that I'm going to climb the corporate ladder. I'm going to get these huge stock dividend payouts. That is not the case, right? I have found it's much easier to, like our mantra says, earn, invest, repeat, and build our net worth that way. But it does come with some caveats, right? And we're talking about time management is huge. Being a great employee is huge. I part of the reason I recently transitioned jobs is because my old boss kept asking me, hey man, how do you have time to do all this stuff? Right. We got the Facebook group. I recently launched a podcast, and they're like, how do you have time to do all this stuff? Are you really working? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yes, you guys see, like, I have to provide you these TPS reports. You know what I'm doing. The clients that I serve are not leaving. They're actually doing more stuff with us. But so here's what I'm doing, right? I said, I've trained my body. I wake up at 4:45 in the morning. I have 2.5 hours before the rest of the house gets up where I just focus on my real estate entrepreneurial activities, right? Now, it is fair to say that and I'm going to use air quotes here, I would take smoke breaks throughout the day, right? To make a phone call, to do whatever. Lunchtime was 30 minutes to an hour and a half sometimes, where I would be able to run errands and do things of this nature for those real estate activities. But those 2.5 hours of, what's the word I'm looking for? Undisruptive. That's not even a word, is it?
No, it is today.
It is today.
It is today.
Lord, I need some more coffee. And we were talking earlier, you got 2 kids, I got 3 kids, you're at home. There's probably a chance, there is a small chance that you have maybe 5 minutes to yourself, right? We've got this little bit of time right now, I imagine, because our wives are corralling the kids. And if you hear what sounds like a pterodactyl in the background, that's because one of mine got away. But that undisturbed time in the morning, I am so productive, right? The thing I didn't realize that I didn't go into once I started getting into this routine, and that routine was born out of consuming the book My Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, right? And trust me, I am not a guy who gets up early at all until now, until we've been doing this for about a year and a half, 2 years, or I've been doing this for about a year and a half, 2 years. And now I feel horrible if I wake up and the alarm clock says after 6. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've missed so much time. I'm so far behind, blah, blah, blah. But I have to give myself a break, or at least I'm giving myself a break now. It's hey, we just had our 3rd kid. She's not even 4 months old yet. There's a lot going on. I had a job transition. There's a lot going on. I need to give myself a break every now and then. But no, the unanticipated side effect of that is for 2 hours in the morning, I get to focus on what I'm truly passionate about, which is building wealth for me and my family, right? And then I have to flip the switch, go to my W-2 job, do that job, right? The unanticipated side effect was I am so much better in a mental state of mind when I get to work because I just spent 2 hours of something I'm truly passionate about, right? So versus I'm trying to not force this upon the people who report to me now, but helping them discover, you roll out of bed 7:00, you get ready, you're on the road by 7:30, you're hating your life because you have to go to work and you have to work for me, right? But it's one of those things when they get there, I can tell if they've been doing something that interests them before they get to work, right? Because and I'm trying to press upon them, hey guys, start getting up earlier, start focusing on your why. Why are you coming to work every day? Spend some time in the mornings before you come in doing something of that nature, right? So that's tremendously helped me, and it's paying huge dividends so far.
That's pretty cool. It sounds like you're more on the active side of investing, and that kind of correlates pretty well because we focus on the passive side. And just to paint a nice picture for the passive investors, what that actually looks like for the active side that's still working a W-2.
Yeah.
It's a grind.
It is. And I will, I'll admit there are days when last weekend, again, we had this little bug going around the house, but last weekend, I think I slept like 20 hours straight. Again, praises to my wife for allowing me to do this, but I was just exhausted. Things it just caught up with me and I was exhausted, but you're right. We've been in the active mode, for, probably about 5 years now. And now we're able to, we've got some funds to focus on doing some of the passive. I just, part of that 320 plus units there, we have one property we're going to close on, and it makes up almost half of that. It's 174 unit, actually more than half if my math serves me correctly. 174 unit property in Greenville, South Carolina. We're scheduled to close on it next week. But that is our second limited partner position. Our first one we closed on 2 weeks ago.
Question.
So, yes.
Before you continue, why the switch to passive at this point?
So I have a problem with passive. The phrasing passive, I didn't want to get into it with you, but it's one of those things where, there's always this debate is it truly passive, right? But the way I approach it is it's more passive than others, right? There's no active versus passive. There's no 0 and 1. There's no switch to flip kind of thing. But why the focus on being more passive? Number one, we actually have the funds to do it, right? Number two, we've built some relationships with some folks who have introduced us to these deals. over the last year and a half, really got to know them. And that was a big mental shift for me, right? I mean, I wanted to be involved in it. It's my money, damn it. I want to make sure that it's going where I want it to do. And before you wire, 50,000 or 100,000 to somebody, you really should know the person, right? Which comes with risk tolerance, and everybody's got a different risk tolerance or whatnot. But so those two things. The third thing is, where we live in Pensacola, Florida area, the market is extremely hot. I got tired of looking for deals that would meet our criteria because things were just outrageously, just crazy, just absolutely crazy. To the point where a lot of the cash that we use to invest in these limited partnerships, I had my realtor, I said, look, I'm tired of looking for duplexes or these small multifamilies. I said, I've got a duplex. I've had it for about 3 years. I've never stepped foot inside of it. I said, let's put it on the market. I want 100,000 more than what I paid for it. And damn it, if he didn't bring me a contract for over asking, like within 2 months, I said, I don't have to sell it because it is cash. It's one of our best cash flowing properties. It's one of the best areas. I said, but I keep seeing these listings come up and thinking, how the hell are people getting this for them? Right. I'm like, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. And it was like a 428% return on a 3-year hold. So we took that money and I was like, okay, we can't find anything in this market. We've been building relationships with these folks who serve other markets. Let's see what they have going on. And we started working with them, and they presented some opportunities that look like some really good returns. Right. I am looking forward to, and these folks, that we're working with, they've got a pretty good track record. So I'm actually looking to learn from them, right? If I get back into doing some more syndication stuff or whatnot, because I only technically syndicated one deal. It was a 42-unit apartment complex, and talk about a lot of work, right? It is tremendously, people will question, why do you get this fee? Why do you get the acquisition fee? Why do you get such and such? Like, dude, it's a lot of freaking work, right? And now that we have 3 kids, I've got a relatively new job. Time is extremely valuable asset that I don't have a whole lot of right now. So
time is our biggest currency. I just kind of wanted to mention 3 points here, right? So This is literally congratulations on turning 40.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the newborn.
Yep.
And a huge shout out to our wives.
Absolutely.
All right. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned those 3.
Yes. Our beautiful wives and our beautiful children.
Beautiful children and beautiful wives. Appreciate that. With that said, just to rewind on a few things that you said, and these are topics that I've really hit. And it's the general partnership side and putting the deal all together. And you just basically chronologized how complex and how, time is of the essence with those deals, and you don't have much time, and there are fees associated with that, but the fees are less than when you're dealing with, your financial advisor with your stock markets and stuff like that. So with that said, the active side, the general partnership side, does collect fees in order for them to source the deal, put the deal together, do due diligence and all that, which is rightfully so with that. But there's other fees that don't need to be involved, or depending on what kind of opportunities are, where if there's a, disposition fee, I think that, personally, we don't do that. So we don't like to fee people to death. And I completely agree where on your first deal, it's cool to not involve those fees. It's cool to do that because you want to prove the concept and keep the ball rolling with your investors going forward. But as you learn the game and you want to passively invest what you're doing right now to learn more from experienced syndicators, I think that puts you in a great spot because 1, you already have a deal done. 2, you're going to learn from these current experienced syndicators that are doing it. And 3, it just sets you up to go ahead and say, look, this is what I'm doing. And I'm I'm walking what I talk about. Literally,
Yep.
I'm living about it. So I
Yep.
appreciate you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
What kind of impact has this had on your life since you passively invest? Well, I think it's just still closing, right? Since the mind switch, what kind of impact?
Um, so on the, it's pushed me to grow, right? Again, to trust people that I've only known for a short period of time. I mean, my wife and I, it was probably 3 or 4 years into our relationship before I even told her how much money I made, my W-2. So to give you some reference, that's how much that, the financial piece, I hold my cards tight to my chest. You know what I'm saying? So with that, and that was just, not too long ago. And now I'm sitting here wire transferring. Wire transfer still is one of the most nerve-wracking things for me. I don't know if it's because I haven't done it enough, or, you just go in, you just type a couple of keystrokes at the bank, and they're like, all right, does this look right? I'm like, I mean, that's what they sent me. So, yeah, it looks right. And then, boom, there goes that money, right? So it's just one of those things. I'm not used to it yet. Plus, I hear all the horror stories that happens. But yeah, it's the mind shift of that. It's kind of forced me to grow a little bit. But the stress relief, one of the things that I discovered, and this goes back to right when we started investing and starting to see cash flow and building some wealth, is, I had put this enormous amount of pressure on myself to build wealth for my family. I always wanted to just do more, gain more. It's not like I'm extremely greedy. We don't have flashy things. I mean, I drive a 9-year-old car. My wife drives a 10-year-old car. We don't get the latest and greatest. I think I have an iPhone 7. She has one older than that, I think. So we don't get the latest and greatest kind of things. So it's not like we flaunt our money, but I've always put this enormous pressure on myself to earn more, right? And build more wealth. And again, one of these unexpected side effects of real estate investing, whether it's passive or active, is it actually allow me to shift that focus on building wealth from the W-2 world to the real estate assets, right? And now I'm saying, okay, I'm not so much worried about working as I am seeing that our wealth is being built by these assets. So what I mean by that is that stress went away, because if you remove that element from your job and you can just focus on your job, it just makes you a better employee, right? And that's one of the things that I've learned is that to the mental mind shift is I'm going to shift my focus of building wealth to these assets that I do very little with on a monthly basis, so I can focus on being a better employee. Well, guess what that's done? That's allowing me to earn more money. I take that more money that I'm making, put it into more assets, and earn, invest, repeat, right? We keep doing it over and over and over. So
I love the mantra. I love
yeah.
it. I love it. So what's the one piece of advice you can provide for the PI listeners today?
So, man, one piece of advice. What's the best advice I could give you? So all right, so I'll give credit back to our wives. We're talking about our beautiful, amazing wives,
So beautiful.
Yeah. I would not be where I'm at. We would not be where we're at if she wasn't on board. I've tried to mentor a couple of guys that were dating some women that, did not support what they wanted to do in real estate investing. I was like, but you all have to get on the same page, or one thing's going to happen. Either you're not going to invest in real estate, or you're going to find a new girlfriend. One of the two, right? And so, without my wife being on involved and on board, then we wouldn't be where we are today, right? Because it's just because when it's one of those things where, and she didn't necessarily word it like this, but once we started seeing that first property that we bought, and we every month would get $300 in the mailbox, right? We both kind of looked at each other and said, and basically she said, yeah, that just happened. Let's do more of that. So, okay, let's do more of that. Right. So that was one door 5 years ago, and now we're up to 300. If the I hope I'm not counting my eggs before they hatch or my chickens before they hatch, but we've got a property next week that's supposed to close. Would have put us at 327 units. So
that's pretty awesome. Congratulations on that. And
thank you, sir.
I completely agree. And one of the biggest things I told my wife, I had a conversation with, I didn't tell her, right? Actually, I did. I told her this. No, because it's very important. And I feel like a lot of conversations need to be had with this is, I will never argue with you about money. Because if you look at the divorce rates, it was about money. So I completely wanted to make sure I crossed that out when I got married.
Yeah.
And she'll tell you that to this day. If I bring her in here to tell you that, she will do that. And since then, we've always been on the same page financially. So like you, we had that light bulb moment.
Yeah.
When we proved the concept with our first single family investment.
Yep.
So I appreciate you for sharing that, because that's super, super important for relationships to this day. And the way that you're telling these coworkers about, who they're dating, you have to be on the same page from day one.
From day one. Yep.
From day one, when you're, especially when it comes about finance. I mean, when you're first dating, you just don't jump into the finance.
Yeah, you don't jump into, hey, what do you stand on? That's almost like the first day. All right, so what do you stand on having children? You don't do that, right? So, but eventually, you gotta, it's funny. Are you a fan of Bigger Pockets?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty active on there.
So I'm wondering if there's ever been any love connections made through that site, because if trust me, guys, if there is, if you're looking for a significant other, that may be a place that you start browsing, right?
Wow. So. I don't know. I'm just offering advice, and I'm out. I'm just providing content. Right? Loop me back in the conversation. I never thought of it that way. I just thought business focus, but
there you go.
I appreciate you. Jay, how can we reach you?
Yeah, so w2capitalist.com is the landing page. From there, you can jump to our Facebook community. It's called The Community, but right now it's hosted in Facebook. It's a little private group. There's almost 6,000 members in there that just have, there's no ads, there's no spam. It's just real life conversations. So that's the best place. And there's a contact tab there, but you can also just email me directly. It's jay at w2capitalist.com.
I appreciate you, Jay. Thank you for coming on with us today and sharing all of that. I love the fact that you're helping others, you're coaching, you're providing perspective to the PI listeners in regards to the importance of transitioning from active to passive. And are you going to continue with the active side as well? Or are you kind of focusing strictly on passive at this point?
I will, that's a good question, and because we started out the first of this year thinking, all right, the market's heating up. We're probably going to just sit back and not do anything. I didn't expect to do one transaction this year, buying or selling. And here we are, we've I'd say 3 or 4 transactions, and we went from 51 units to 327. So I'm really enjoying the limited partnership side of investing. I will tell you, there's just something about being able to sit back and just say, you guys handle it. I'm going to go do my thing over here.
Let the pros be the pros, right?
Let the pros be the pros. Now there's also something to say to improving my rookie status of my general partner label, right? So, I will continue to look at deals. I honestly just think with the way the chapter that we're in our lives right now, it's going to be a lot more difficult for me to be an active investor with the kids and the new job, and staying true to being a true family man and a husband and father and that sort of thing. So we're going to have to, we'll have to figure it out. We're if somebody brings me a deal that I've got to be a general partner on it, sure, I'll look at it and see what it looks like and see if we can make it work. We can. absolutely. But I'm really digging the limited partner side so far.
Sounds like you got options, and those are good options to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you, Jay. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, absolutely. Anytime.
PI listeners, I appreciate you for listening. If any of this resonates with you, please subscribe and leave a review. The more you know, the more we grow. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time.